Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahi Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. Very good evening to all of you. I hope all of you had a wonderful time after the full moon meditation. And we experienced our subtle self, which is light. We're all light beings, and this light comes from love. So love and light are actually interchangeable. They represent the same truth. Light is love and love is light. And as we say, love is God and God is love. So this love, this light, and God or divinity is just that one expression which is perceived by all of us in different ways. There is no two in this world. And yesterday, all of us met as one in the one source. And the energy last night was absolutely brilliant. And because we now are starting to move and step into our light. We've heard about all these concepts before. We've read them in the books. We've heard, the masters talk about it. But now we are getting to experience it firsthand. Because our ancient forefathers, our rishis, saints, hermits, sages, they actually experienced all this. And whatever they experienced, they try to put it into writing and they try to present it to us, that one truth. And they left for us a path which guides everybody to that experience, because we've come to experience this truth. We have known about it in glimpses, but unless the experience comes, unless the direct experience comes, and unless it shifts, that knowledge is of no use. Because knowledge by itself does nothing to us except fill up our head and our mind with notions and ideas and ego and arrogance and all that it brings. So they perceived this truth when they went inwards. In their meditations, the saints and sages experienced this truth, which is a very different way of how all of us, no matter which country we come from, where we are living, we've all been accustomed to in our life to look for happiness and joy outside of us, from the world, from the people, from the relationships, from our sense of accomplishment, from a sense of how many material resources we have. That's how we have constantly focused on this journey. And we've heard that the truth lies inside of us. There is something inside of us which is profound, beautiful, uh, supremely intelligent, yet it remains an idea, it remains a thought which has been acquired by us by reading or by listening. But unless this reading and listening is contemplated upon, and after due contemplation, if we do not put it into practice, then of course nothing will change for us. And we've spoken about this, that the mind is very clever. The mind is so brilliant that it uses every type of logic to convince us that the answers to what we are seeking, even the experience that we are seeking, the mind will convince us that the path of this experience is through the mind. And that's the reason why we are not willing to open ourselves up for the experience. Because if we are not open to receive, and if we are full of our own ideas, whether it is to do with spirituality or our guru or anything to do in life, we have become very rigid, because rigidity comes from our fixed ideas. And it can be in any aspect, because we become rigid through a combination of our experiences, and through those experiences we make judgments, and through those judgments we don't even know, but we become very inflexible, and we're not willing to step forward and hold the joy or the innocence of a child, because a child does not know anything. Thankfully, the head is not full of ideas and opinions, and the child is willing to explore. The child is willing to explore whatever takes the fancy of the child. And that's the reason that when we are like a child, we are actually gaining the experiences, because whatever the child gets attracted to or takes the attention of the child to a particular thing, the child wants to fully experience it. Even if it's a toy, they want to fully experience it. And this experience somehow, over a period of time, as we grew smarter, wiser, we started to become prisoners of our judgment, prisoners of our experiences, and prisoners of our very strong beliefs. So you would wonder, why am I talking about this? And why, on one hand, we say that we need to have beliefs, we need to have faith, and then on the other hand, we are saying we are victims of our beliefs. So, welcome to the contradiction once again, because by now, even the ones who are now attending the sessions, they are on day 21, and they have already got the glimpse of what we have been talking about. And this inflexibility in life keeps us away from the grace of the master. We keep saying we need grace, we need grace, we need master. So, but however, it just doesn't come to us. There are many reasons for that. First is, who is a master? What is the definition of a master? Because it's important to understand who a master or a guru or a teacher, whatever you want to call it, who is that? Which entity is the guru? So this question we need to fully understand, because a wrong understanding or a notion about who the guru is will keep us away from seeking with an open mind, and this openness to accept what is good for us is essential on this path, because this acceptance brings these experiences. Because if we don't accept, what do? We deny. We are in denial. We fight it. We reject it because of the mind. And on this path, the path of self-realization is the path of experience, is the path of putting into practice the higher truths about ourselves. And only then can we get the final experience. So as I keep saying, to experience what we have never experienced before, we need a very clear understanding which we have contemplated upon, and we need to have an understanding of who's a master, and in which forms does the master appear to us. Because a lot of time what happens with us is that we believe that we have one master or one guru, and call that guru by any name. We feel sometimes guilty when we get into satsang or sessions with somebody else, and we think, oh, but I had a master, and am I digressing? I'm going somewhere else. Or sometimes what's coming to us, we are not able to fully take advantage of what is coming to us, because somewhere in our mind there is a block, which is non-acceptance. And that non-acceptance, or sometimes we are very close to a person, and when we get very close and familiar to a person, then automatically we start judging that person. As we say, familiarity breeds contempt. And that is why Jesus said, before you start loving the world, you first must love thy neighbor. Who's this neighbor? And why should we love a neighbor? We can love ourselves, we can love our children. Sometimes we, beat ourselves down. But first we need to love ourselves. And then, of course, we love our family. And we can go and do, seva or service to homeless people or to absolute strangers, because we don't have any opinion about them. We don't have any fixed ideas about them. But we have very strong ideas about our neighbors, because we see them and we see what they do. And therefore, because we have this relationship or familiarity, somewhere we start seeing them with our filter of judgment. And the person whom we judge, the person about whom we have strong ideas and opinions, if we cannot learn to love that person or persons about whom we have some fixed ideas, then we will never truly learn how to love. And therefore, before love can begin, what's important is forgiveness, right? They're all part of a chain. And I'm just trying to bring you into complete awareness so you understand, so that you can joyfully go and practice, because you understand how everything connects. All the dots should be connected. And the Guru comes in our lives in many forms at many times. And, and we should be able to recognize that when we are getting something which is bringing a sense of peace and joy inside of us, that person at that point of time is playing a role of a guru or a teacher in our life. And it can come in many forms. But if we remain closed to the idea, if we remain close to the fact that there can be any accumulation of knowledge residing in people other than our chosen guru, then that rigidity keeps us from the experience. Because who's a guru? Guru is one who helps us to, to go within. And once we go within, how do you start shifting the layers? How do you start refining your understanding about who you are and what life is all about? And every master or every teacher who comes in our life comes at a certain point. There is, as Baba used to say, there is a reason for everything and there is a season for everything. And this reason is what we call as the Pararabdha karma, the whole cycle of cause and effect. And there is a right timing when all the pieces start to fit together. It's perfectly orchestrated, it is perfectly ordained, and the Guru can appear in any form. The Guru can relate to us at any form, at any time. And if we are open, we are able to recognize and we are able to grab that opportunity. So when we talk about living from moment to moment, when we talk about seizing that moment, that experience of living in the present moment is what self-realization is all about. When no thoughts of the past and no thoughts of the future bother you, and whatever comes in your life, if we can start dealing with it, because life can never be free of challenges. It is not in the framework of this planet or this existence to not have any challenges. The challenge is absolutely essential for our growth, for our upliftment, and these challenges we have to face because they're coming from the cause and effect of the past. So it's already happening, it's already coming. But what do we do to it when the challenge comes is really what it is about. So when we say be thoughtless, be an observer, ruminate and reflect, do not react, instead respond, discern, and discriminate between what is temporary, changing, and on the other hand, what is changeless and what is permanent. And we slowly start becoming skilled at this game. Because remember, you would have heard the Vedas say that once you achieve self realization, nothing is going to change for you. You will still have challenges. You will still have to go through all that is already laid as a path for you. Because that's coming from what we call as destiny. Destiny is nothing but our past actions. But what is given to us as free will is how we will respond. How will we go around and meeting these challenges, resolving these challenges? That's what is in our hands. And that is what requires practice. And that is what gives you then the experience comes from that practice. And that practice then further propels you to where you need to be. Right? And this is what we have to become skilled at. Absolutely skillful in life. Because whatever you will do, perfection will creep into you because you are no longer reacting and you are becoming more and more stable. You're becoming equal minded and you reflect upon it and then you choose to act. And slowly, everything starts to change around you because outwardly, nothing's ever going to change. But inwardly, everything changes. And therefore, when we change from within, the way we have perceived the world before that, and the way we perceive once we get anchored and stable in our understanding of life, everything around us starts changing. It's just magic how it works. And so that's the shift we have been working upon. And those are the experiences that we are talking about. And as we move forward and as we experienced yesterday, we will start seeing the true glimpses of our own self. Right? And that, as I told you yesterday in the meditation, and as we did in the Atma Chalisa Parayanam, the real self is nothing but an energetic presence. And that energetic presence is so soft, it is so relaxing, and it is sweet. And that sweetness becomes a part of us. The Upanishads say, and they exhort, that we are all Amritasya Putras. What is Amrit? Amrit is the nectar, honey, sweetness. Putra means son. So we are sons of that God who's nectarine, and we ourselves are the sons of that Father. And as Jesus said, I and my Father are one. You've got to see this whole connection of where Jesus is coming from, where Satya Sai Baba is coming from, where all the masters are coming from. We are all moving towards that direction where our sweetness starts to flow. And that sweetness starts spreading everywhere. And as we start experiencing the sweetness inside, there is something that starts to shift. And that starts to bring about a beautiful change in us. And truly, we start to understand all that our master told us in the past, all that we have read in the books, suddenly starts to make sense. But the question would be, why is it making sense now? Why didn't it make sense 5 years earlier or 10 years earlier? We've been with masters, we've been reading books. How many lifetimes we've done. Even in this lifetime, we would have spent 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, running after that. But what is so special now? Why suddenly the consciousness asked us to do this? And the consciousness is now bringing hundreds of other people who are joining this program. You should see these videos that have gone. You should see how now people are joining in the first day and second day videos. They are starting to be seen by a lot of people. Why? Because it's the work of consciousness. The consciousness chooses the time. The consciousness knows who are going to be the instruments. We're all of us, including myself, we are all instruments of consciousness. And this consciousness is what decides how the play is going to be. The minute you think it is you or me who's doing something, that is where the consciousness stops flowing. But if you allow the consciousness to just come in, and as it comes in, you will start dealing with your challenges, your daily existence from a point of complete steadfastness. We don't shake any longer when tremors come. And when we become silent inside, and when we become that equanimous in how we interact with people, then suddenly this energy starts to show its presence more and more. Because when we are angry, or when we are jealous, or when we are experiencing strong desires, then there is energy at that time also. But that energy takes us away from experiencing the divine consciousness, and it makes you experience the world on the outside. And it keeps us trapped all the time in only those experiences which are out there in the world. So the frame of reference is that the world is how it is, and the world will continue to throw what it is throwing. But we start looking at it very differently now. And the world around us starts to shift, and it keeps shifting, and you keep feeling every day that something else has come in. And this journey of experiencing this becomes a beautiful game. It is no longer heavy. It is no longer troubling us. It is no longer a dead weight that you're carrying on your shoulders. Just like the feeling we had yesterday in the meditation. All heaviness leaves us. All that makes us mortal. All that makes us be in these 5 sheaths that we talk about: the sheath of food or the gross body, the sheath of the breath, the sheath of the mind, the sheath of knowledge, and then the sheath of bliss. These are all 5 sheaths. And these 5 sheaths is not what it is all about. It is also about this. But we go to a point where we go beyond these 5 sheaths, even after the sheath of bliss. There is something. which we experienced yesterday as all of us flew to our source of unconsciousness. So, as we are getting together more and more now, the divine energy is going to come and be experienced by all of you. And the reason it's happening is because this is the chosen time. This is what we had signed up for. And these experiences we should hold. And yesterday, when we left the source of one consciousness, we were guided that this experience will remain with us. And I hope it has remained with you even today. And you know now that when we do our 9 p.m. meditation sessions, you can easily let go of your body and you can fly in this universe and you can always go back home. Home is not the buildings that all of you are staying in. That's not home. There is one home which is inside of us, which is our light. And then there is a home from where we've come. Right now, the home is for this home that we are living in is the home of the body. But I'm not the body. And I'm always at home because inside, as long as you are in this oneness, as long as you are peaceful, as long as you are contented, and as long as this love is flowing from you, you will always be at home. Home is not a physical place. Home is not a building. Home is not a house. Home is where the Lord resides, where the divine consciousness resides. That is home. And as long as you are connected to that consciousness, you're always going to be home, even though you are in a bazaar, even though you are in the ocean, even though you are in a forest, you're always at home. So this light is beginning to spread. This energy, as we come together in our sessions, all this energy that you feel, this is coming from that one source. And you can tap into that source anytime. And I've told a lot of you that if you are finding any challenge, this is especially for the new ones, you can always link into my energy. And it will always start to guide you till you understand that you don't need to connect with me at all. You can connect directly to that. So these are these intermediate steps in our growing consciousness, in our own journey, and in our journey to be those pure divine beings, where not a single thought of selfishness will enter you. And that's the path we are all going on. No matter from where you start, no matter what you're holding on to, just continue on this path and be open about anything. Don't say no to anything which has come to you from the past. Because we all, as we grow up, we become very rigid, we don't realize it. Because we want things in a certain way, to be done in a certain way. We see people in a certain way. All this is a trap. Remember, we are free spirits. We are like that child. I sent you a picture of a child before the session started. That, this is my picture. I was, I think, 3 years old at that time. And I still remember this, that there was a huge home which had a forest in it. And as a child, I was going in in the forest exploring things, and somebody clicked that picture. Uh, and it reminded me how beautiful when you come, when you're small, you want to explore everything. That spirit of exploration, that spirit of adventure, when we take holidays and we go with a spirit of adventure, I want all of you, and I know you're doing it, that this adventure be inside of us. Let this adventure now be of the great joys that are held within each one of us. That secret to which we were never introduced before. And we keep meeting every Saturday to keep reinforcing with everyone else that this is our path, the path of direct experience. Because our experience cannot lie. Our experience is our very own. Don't let the mind come in. Don't let the mind expect also a particular experience. It's all happening naturally. Where we are all supposed to be, what we are going to do in life, whatever is going to be in front of us is already happening and will happen perfectly. There is no question of putting your mind to it and trying to make things happen. This is where we go wrong. We try to make things happen. When we try to make something happen, it's a force, it's a violence. We're trying to go and do something from our mind. But when you flow, when the things come and you start doing them, it's like two beautiful forces coming together and flowing even more powerfully. And this practice of differentiating between what the mind is screaming and telling you and not reacting to it, and what comes from within as a prompting, when you start doing that, you will start to know the difference between the mind and the heart. Right? It's a skill you have to gather. Sometimes you get confused. Sometimes our strong judgments, opinions hold us back. So this time is so beautiful that on one hand, there is so much of chaos, but at the same moment, at the same time, something most beautiful is beginning to take place inside of us. And therefore, it is a necessary condition. When all hell breaks loose, that times the doorway to heaven or the golden gates of consciousness are also thrown open. We have a choice to make. We want to walk on that path of the mind and be part of the chaos, or we walk the path of light, the path of love. And therefore, understanding all these mechanics, understanding that in our familiarity lies the trap of expectations. And wherever there are expectations, disappointment is round the corner. And when you let go, and when you start to flow with this, life becomes a beautiful song. So keep contemplating on some of these things that we talk about. I've shared this with you before. During my whole day, even whatever I'm doing, there is some contemplation going on. There is something that has come to you, uh, a prompting from within. And that prompting, one starts to contemplate upon it, do a self inquiry till it opens up and it tells you what it needs to tell you. Therefore, the teacher is within us, the light is within us. There is only one Guru who is inside of us. All of The other external gurus have played a role, and they have become formless now, and they will continue to guide you from within. But and what we are doing together is to reminding ourselves of that, and we are helping each other to reach that point. Okay, so that each one of us can start playing that role for the people around us, because there's no use of gaining all this and keeping it to yourself. It doesn't work. It's like a contract that you sign. Even when you use Microsoft, or you go online and you go to any site, they say, please accept all the cookies, right? So for what we are into, there are cookies here as well. And this cookie is to love all. Cookies are to share with everyone, and we must accept it and accept life for what it is, accept life for what it is bringing to us, and don't keep thinking, oh, what's my role in future? Why have I come here? What do I have to do? Right? Remember, this is coming from the mind. What you have come to do, you will do. When the time comes, everything is revealed and everything happens. This is the law of life. When we think, oh, I want to know from where I come, what is my past, I want to go and know what is my future, these are people who are operating only from their mind space. There's nothing to do. Remember, we are not doing beings, we are beings. We just be. And in this beingness, everything happens. The whole creation was made out of beingness. The rishis got everything in their beingness. I used to go and sit with my master at his feet. No words were ever spoken, other than all from within. Beingness. And in that beingness, everything happens. Yeah, I've given most of you being part of the Atma Chalisa when we did it. You know how it came about. We didn't even know we can ever do this also. But yet it happened. And yet now it is reaching out to so many people across the world. How? The consciousness wanted it. The consciousness created a situation, and we just followed the consciousness. So this is how we need to start living our life in everything that we do, small or big. Nothing is big or small. Remember, everything is a practice. In this adventure, you are learning to become better and better at this game. And as you become better, you start enjoying it. It's like a game, any sport. Watching soccer World Cup gave us great joy, right? We drink to it, we celebrate. Why can't we enjoy the game within us? Why can't we drink to that? Why can't we celebrate that, oh, this is so beautiful? And it is. And together, when we come, something happens. I'm experiencing huge healings beginning to take place. So many of us in the group have became unwell. But this group has started to heal people. I had an uncle of mine who was on his deathbed. He'd stopped eating. All his, they were feeding him through intravenous, and he was going down every day. His lungs had stopped, pumping the air that is required. His blood pressure had gone down. He had said, remove all the pipes. I just want to die peacefully. Is the day when I spoke to my cousin and I said, we will start sending healing to him. It's been 5 days. 5 days, we thought he will not survive 5 days. But in 5 days, yesterday was the first day where he sat up the whole day and he asked for food that I want to eat, right? And all the children who were thinking that their dad is going and they were overwrought suddenly see a hope. And they said, this, if this is not a miracle, what it is? The man is lying home in the bed. That's the power of love. That's the power of light. And that's the power of healing that each one of us holds in our hand. I can't heal myself, but I can heal everybody, right? We should believe that. So when I need healing, I'll ask you guys to heal me. Yeah? So we have come to give. We have not come to take. We have not come here to hold things for ourselves. So this is the message of love all serve all. But first condition is love. Service without love is no service. We should not even do it. But that love is that love inside of us, not that bodily love. Not that, oh, I love you and this and that. This is a purer love we're talking about, and we are experiencing every time in the session. Because more than the words, the energy is always traveling. It's always doing what it needs to do. So even if you are feeling something inside, our connect is so strong that it reaches the other. You should try all this. This is a game. I keep telling you, experiment. Find joy in this game because it's such a beautiful exploration. Go around, figure out what's happening. Go and try. I do this with my dog every day here. So I'm in my with my brother in Amritsar. We have a beautiful Labrador, and he will come, and then I start having conversation only with I look into his eyes very deeply, and he will look, and then he'll suddenly put his head down, then he will come, and then he'll put his face on my lap, and then he will just lie down as if all that he was looking for he had got. So these are opportunities. You go and meet anybody outside. I like to play now with people. All you're doing is you're sharing love with people, and funny things start happening when love goes. And that reminds me, Juneja uncle has reminded me many times. I want to share with you a very beautiful thing. It's you would have read once or twice in the group and being spoken about here also, the term love inverter. You know what inverter is, right? When the power goes, the inverter kicks in and brings in electricity. So there was a time in, I think this was 2012. I was traveling with three other friends in a car, and these were all electrical engineers. They were doing some solar project, and I had accompanied them. And I was driving my car. Two of them were foreigners. One was an Italian, one was an American, and the third person was an Indian. So they were all talking about technology and things, and I was getting very bored. So I told them, I said, look, you're talking about all this. Let's just change the topic. They said, okay, what would you like to talk about? I said, you want to talk about technology? Then I give you an idea. They said, okay, we are listening. I said, how about making a love inverter? They said, okay, that sounds interesting. How do you think it will work? Now I thought, I just said it. I'm driving on a highway at, more than almost 120 kilometers an hour. And suddenly I see a spider on the windscreen of my car, a big black spider, and I'm driving. So, and that spider started to talk to me. And the spider was giving me the knowledge about the love inverter. And for 10 minutes, I described what this love inverter was and how it works. I have no clue what I said. But I remember when I finished, these three people were clapping. They said, oh, this is, you've explained in technology term how this love works. And I was wondering what was going on. Okay. And as we arrived in Delhi, we were to have dinner with a politician, a member of parliament. And when we reached his home, I found him to be a, pretty arrogant and rude person. He was not paying attention to us. He was mostly on his, phone, talking to his people. And so I was wondering, I said, God, why did you bring us here? This guy doesn't even know how to treat his guests well. And particularly with me, he was just not talking. And you could feel the rudeness in that person. And since we had gone there to have dinner, because one of our friends, the Italian friend, he knew that politician, we said, okay, let's quickly have food and go. So finally, the food was served after an hour of torture. And we were four of us sitting on a table having food. And I was facing this politician.